You close the heavy front door. The deadbolt engages with a sharp, mechanical click. You walk to your car and drive away to start your 8-hour workday. Inside the house, your dog remains on the rug in the center of the living room. The air in the house is static. Your scent is thick in the hallway, clinging to the carpet and the curtains. Over the next several hours, that scent undergoes a transformation. It thins and it settles. You believe she hears your engine turning the corner 3 blocks from the house. You assume she has a sixth sense for the exact moment you leave your office. This is a sensory error. What she is actually monitoring is the precise concentration of your leftover skin cells and pheromones in the air. She is watching your smell disappear in a 3-dimensional map of elapsed time. By the end of this video, you will understand the specific mechanics of olfactory time mapping. Let's begin. The canine olfactory system is an advanced temporal processing unit. This system is anchored in the olfactory bulb, which is 40 times larger in dogs than in humans. This structure allows the dog to distinguish between separate layers of air. This process is managed by the olfactory epithelium. The epithelium is the sensory tissue that captures individual molecules from the environment. In a confined space, scents do not remain static. They undergo molecular decay. Molecular decay is the natural breakdown and dispersal of particles over time. The dog monitors this decay to measure the distance between the present moment and a past event. This biological process allows the animal to track history through the nose. This transition from scent detection to time tracking is the foundation of their daily routine. The canine brain does not need a mechanical clock because it perceives the world as a sequence of chemical transitions. This biological reality dictates every behavior the dog exhibits in your absence. You are 5 minutes from your driveway. Inside the house, your dog stands up from the rug. She walks to the entryway and sits 3 inches from the door. She is perfectly still. Her nose is twitching at a high frequency. You assume she hears your engine. She always knows when I am close, you say to yourself. But research in the book Being a Dog by Alexandra Horowitz found that scent molecules decay at a predictable rate. The canine nose is a high-precision instrument that can detect 1 part of scent in 1 trillion parts of air. The consequence for the dog in this specific moment is the activation of a threshold calculation. When you leave the house, the concentration of your scent is at 100%. As the hours pass, this concentration drops. It reaches 80%, then 50, then 20. The dog's brain has recorded the exact molecular concentration present when you typically return. This is a sensory marker. When the air in the hallway hits that specific density threshold, the dog's brain initiates an involuntary motor response. The amygdala shifts from a state of resting maintenance to a state of high alert anticipation. The dog is not listening for a car. She is waiting for the air to become empty enough of your scent to signal your arrival. This is a calculation of volume. The heart rate increases as the concentration hits the target level. She is standing at the door because the temporal map has reached the return coordinates. Her brain is responding to the vacuum you left behind. The physical stillness at the door is the result of a system that has completed its countdown. The dog is essentially reacting to the absence of you rather than the approach of you. This measurement functions like a shadow lengthening across a sundial. The research-supported response. Maintain a consistent arrival schedule to provide the dog with a predictable temporal map. This prevents the neurological stress caused by an over-decayed scent profile, which the dog interprets as an abandoned social bond. You are at your workplace. Inside your bedroom, your dog walks toward the closet. She ignores her plush toys and her food bowl. She finds a sweatshirt you wore yesterday and pulls it onto her bed. She curls into a tight ball on top of the fabric and falls into a deep sleep. You assume she is lonely and seeking comfort. She misses me, you think. But clinical research on the vomeronasal organ found that dogs can detect pheromones with 95% accuracy. The consequence of this behavior is the acquisition of a biological anchor. The sweatshirt contains a concentrated reservoir of your cortisol and skin oils. To the dog, this is not a memory of you, it is a physical source of safety data. By lying on the clothing, she is inhaling a high-density version of your scent profile. This triggers the immediate release of oxytocin in her hypothalamus. Oxytocin is a neuropeptide that inhibits the stress response and lowers her heart rate. She is using your clothes to reset her internal clock. By surrounding herself with a high concentration of your scent, she is effectively winding back the temporal map. It makes the house feel as though you have only been gone for minutes instead of hours. This allows the parasympathetic nervous system to remain dominant, preventing the rise of separation-induced anxiety. The dog is not being sentimental. She is managing her own internal chemistry through scent immersion. This provides her brain with the necessary data to confirm that the secure base is still intact. This chemical reset allows her to exit a state of environmental scanning and enter a state of restorative rest. This clothing acts as an anchor dropped in a heavy current. The research-supported response. Leave a recently worn item of clothing in the dog's primary resting area. This provides a continuous stream of safety data that helps the dog regulate her autonomic nervous system during long periods of isolation. It is Saturday morning. You are wearing a clean cotton shirt. You pick up your car keys and walk toward the garage. Your dog remains on the rug, her tail wagging slowly in a low arc. On Monday morning, you wear a suit and pick up the same keys. The dog immediately retreats to her crate and avoids eye contact. You assume she knows it is a workday. She's so smart, she knows the difference, you say. But a study in the journal Scientific Reports found that dogs discriminate human stress odors from baseline odors with 93.75% combined accuracy. The consequence for the dog involves a comparative chemical analysis. Your work clothing carries a completely different hormonal profile than your weekend clothing. The dog's brain detects the micro-concentrations of adrenaline and cortisol associated with your professional routine. This triggers a specific neurological association. The amygdala recognizes the work scent as a precursor to a high decay event. This means she knows your scent is about to vanish for a long duration. This anticipation causes a sudden shift in her metabolic readiness. She goes to the crate because her brain is preparing for the temporal gap. On the weekend, the lack of these chemical triggers signals a low decay day. Her heart rate remains low because the air does not forecast a long period of sensory isolation. She is not reading the calendar or the clock. She is reading the chemical forecast of your presence. Her brain is preparing for the stress of the countdown before it even begins. This predictive processing is a survival tool that allows her to manage her emotional energy. She is choosing the crate as a way to minimize the environmental scanning she will perform once the door closes. This scent detection is like a radio picking up a distant, clear signal. The research-supported response. Maintain scent consistency during departures. If you use a specific fragrance or detergent, use it consistently. This prevents the dog from detecting the chemical markers of your own departure-related stress, which can trigger an early cortisol spike. We have now reached the unifying reveal of canine life. This sensory superpower is olfactory time mapping. It is the ability to perceive the movement of time through the physical breakdown of the world. While you use a mechanical clock to measure the hours, your dog uses the concentration of your skin cells in the air. To a dog, your scent is not just an identity, it is a timeline. When you leave the house, you fill the room with a thick, high-density sensory cloud. As the day progresses, this cloud thins. Gravity pulls the heavier molecules toward the floor. Heat causes the lighter pheromones to rise and disperse through the ventilation. The dog observes this thinning in real time. She sees the past in the corners of the room where the scent is still heavy. She sees the future in the entryway where the air is clearing. Your return is not a surprise event. It is the conclusion of a predictable molecular decay. She sits at the door because the timeline has reached the arrival mark. This realization replaces the idea of telepathy with a more sophisticated biological reality. You are a chemical radiator. Your dog is a high-precision sensor. She is not waiting for you with a human concept of loneliness. She is tracking your return through the air itself. Every movement you make and every shirt you wear is a data point on her temporal map. Your scent is the compass she uses to navigate the uncertainty of your absence. When she meets you at the door, she is confirming that the molecular clock was accurate. The air has been restored. This interaction is the foundation of her entire daily routine. By understanding this, you recognize that your dog is never truly alone. She is living in the fading traces of your presence, counting down the molecules until the world is full again. This biological tether is what maintains the bond across the hours of silence. The dog sees the hours through the air. This is like footprints in the snow that tell the story of where you have been. The dog is not just waiting for the door to open. She is watching the map until you reappear.